Hello all, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in this video, I am going to talk about Azure DevOps services. So we will see a few hands-on as well, like what is Azure Boards, how it works, what is Azure Repos, and how we have to create Azure repositories and permissions. Then we will see a demo on Azure Pipeline, then test plan and Azure Artifact. So basically, I'm going to cover all the services which we get as part of Azure DevOps services, and we will see a hands-on as well. So let's quickly start. So this is the agenda of this particular video where I'm going to talk about all the services of Azure DevOps. So that's what I have written down here. So what is Azure DevOps? So Azure DevOps is a cloud service offered by Microsoft that provide a comprehensive suite of tools to help you manage your software development process. So let's simplify this particular line. So basically Azure DevOps is a service which is provided by Azure Microsoft, and this is a completely ALM tool. So what does it mean by ALM? So application lifecycle management. So it means all the requirements which is required to build, test or deploy your application. This tool is sufficient for your complete software development cycle. So this is the complete application life cycle management tool. It allows you to plan smarter, collaborate better, and ship faster by integrating all aspects of DevOps, development, testing, deployment, and monitoring into a single platform. So with the help of single tool, you are achieving all these things which is required for your software. So like you can build your code, you can deploy your code, you can test your code, everything you can do with the help of Azure DevOps. And also Azure DevOps provide a wide range of extension or third-party tool which you can integrate to achieve your goal. It is designed to support DevOps practice which aim to bridge the gap between development and operation team, ensuring a smoother and faster release process. So basically with the help of Azure DevOps, what we are going to do, we are bringing all the developer and operation guy to come together and start work on a faster way. So we have a clear visibility what each person is doing as part of your software lifecycle deployment process. Now let's see under what is Azure DevOps organization. So an organization in Azure DevOps is the highest level in hierarchy. It can contain multiple projects and each project can host its own repositories, pipeline, boards and organization. So basically this is the top level of hierarchy of Azure DevOps. Under this hierarchy you are going to create your project. Under project you are going to create your repositories, then you are going to create your pipelines. So this is the basically in a simple words the top level element of Azure DevOps. Let's quickly have a look of Azure DevOps organization. Let me open my Azure DevOps service. So you can see here this particular name, this dev.azure.com is a service which is provided by Microsoft, and you can see this particular name. When you sign up for a Azure DevOps service, you have to provide a name. That name is generally called a organization. If you can see, this is the organization I have, and under this organization I have two projects. One is called Azure DevOps and another called Demo. So two projects I have under my one organization. So organization is a top level element of Azure DevOps, and basically here from the organization itself you can do lot of things, like you can manage all the permissions of like what kind of permission each user want, what kind of roles we have to assign. So everything you can manage from organization settings. And here also like the billing part comes, like if you are using test plans which is not a free, you have to pay for test plans. All these things or all these billings like parallel job, all these things comes like all the billings which is going to happen, which will happen based on your organization. You can see here billing. So here basically all the billings which Microsoft will do, that will do on the basis of your organization name. This is the basically the identifier of your organization, of your project, or of your company. So generally, if you see, when any software company or MNCs take the service from Microsoft for Azure DevOps, they generally provide the name of their company or maybe some custom name as well, like dev.azure.com/Microsoft/Google. So that is the basically the organization name. There you are going to create all of your projects and repos. And here you can provide a lot of restrictions as well, and you can see here the extension here, so you can utilize all the extension. If you can see here, I have installed few extension which you can install from the marketplace, which is the option here. So basically you can integrate a lot of third-party tools with your Azure DevOps services to achieve your goal. Now going back to my slide. So within an organization, you can manage users and their permission. This means you can control who has access to the organization and what level of access they have. That's what we have already discussed. And billing also happen based on your organization level. When you create an organization, it is assigned a unique URL, typically in the format. So you can see this is the default one, till dev.azure.com and / your organization name or maybe your company name. So that's how basically Azure DevOps work, like the URL is formatted. So I hope it's clear what is Azure DevOps organization. So it's a top level of element where under this organization you are going to create your projects, repos, and so on. Now let's see Azure boards. So Azure Board is a service in Azure DevOps that helps team to plan, track, and discuss work across the team. It supports agile methodology including Scrum and Kanban. So basically, what's the purpose of Azure Board here? Suppose you are building a software and you have all the detailed description, okay, detailed of your projects, what we have to do. Like you have for example, your software required 4 modules. After 4 modules, your software will be in a beta phase or a like testing phase or prototype phase. For that, what all the things you have to do, that each and every task you can define in Azure Board. So everyone have a visibility on it, like okay, what's the process, what is going on, what task is currently is on hold or what is in progress. So everything you can see in Azure Board. So basically it's a central location where people can have a eye and see, okay, what is happening with my project. So in Azure Board, work items are the fundamental unit of work that help team plan, track, and manage their project. Each work item type serve a specific purpose in the project management process. Let me quickly switch to my Azure DevOps. I'll go to my project. For example, I'm going to my Azure DevOps project. So here you can see the boards. I have skipped this Wiki and dashboard part that I will discuss after boards. So let me quickly click on boards. So you can see here multiple fields: work item, boards, sorry, backlogs, sprints, queries, delivery plan, and analytical views. So these are multiple fields or options or services you get as part of your Azure Board. So the very first thing here is work item. So what is work item? Basically, the work item is a unit of work which you are going to do. So for example, I have created a work item. Let's quickly create a work item, epic. So now give any type name here, like for test epic. Assign to, I'm assigned to myself. State, priority, start date. Let me put today date, and target date could be maybe some next month or something else. And reason, add it to backlog. This is the iteration path that I will come later about iteration and all, and I'll just save it. So this is the one epic you have created. It means the one major task you have created. So, and under this particular epic, we are going to create subtask. So if I'll go back to my slides. So epics are the highest level of work item, representing large piece of work that span multiple sprints or even releases. So what does it mean? You are building a prototype of your software or of your application that this particular prototype will take 2 months or 3 months. Now you have created a epic for that to track all the subtasks which you are going to create as part of the epic. So in simple word, your application is going to take 4 months to develop. Now what you did, you have created a epic for like for financial year 25, quarter 2 or 3 maybe, and under this particular quarter, it is going to take to complete this particular task or particular the work item which you are going to create. It means every small task which is associated with this epic, it will be easy to monitor after this quarter 2 maybe, or after 3 months. You have the visibility as part of this particular epic what all the things you have completed and what all the things is pending. So it is easy to manage a visibility of your work which you are going to do. Use epics to group related work item that can be broken down into smaller or more manageable pieces like features. For example, an epic might represent a major feature area like user authentication system. Now to create a user authentication system for any application, it is going to take a month. But with the help of epic, you can create multiple features. Like first you want to create a login page, then you have to create a logout page. So all these things will be the separate task which is part of this particular epic. So what is the scope of epic? Broad and long term, often taking several weeks or month to complete. So that's why we created epic. So end of the month or whatever the time duration you have specified, you have a visibility. Okay, in 3 months, 2 months or 1 month, we have completed this much of task. So let's quickly switch to the Azure DevOps. Here we will see. So the epic I have created, this epic number is 13. Now how we will assign this epic to all the backlog or all the user stories which we are going to achieve as part of this epic. So what you have to do, suppose if I'll go to backlog here. So suppose I have these two tasks here. So let me open it. Now what I will do, I will click here add existing item, and here I will search the work item ID. So this is the test epic which I have created, and I put OK and save and close. Similarly, I will do this particular let me edit it and add link, sorry, not link, existing item, and here I will provide the link 13 test epic. Okay, it's has a parent link, so it new ones cannot be added. Okay, so it already had a parent link, that's why it's not able to add. So now if I'll go back to my work item, and if I'll choose here work item type epic, now here we can see we have these all the tasks which we have to perform as part of this epic. So in simple word, epic is a root or a top level element which basically use or which is used to manage all your subtask or your smaller task comes under this particular thing epic. So you can see one more thing I just want to show you. If you can see in the work item, we are getting 3 work item: epic, issues and task. Why we are getting this? Because we have chosen a basic process. So if I'll just want to quickly show you how basically we have to select. If I'll go to my organization settings and let me go to projects. So you can see the process I have using for this particular project Azure DevOps is basic, and for this particular project I have choosing the process is Agile. So basically these are the templates which comes by default with n number of work items or different work item types, and as per your requirement you have to choose these processes. So there are 4 I think processes. Let me quickly see. Let me go to new project. I'm not going to create a new project, I'll put a demo one. So if I'll go to advanced, Now here you can see work item process. So we have agile, basics, CMMI and Scrum. So you have to keep remember what all the things is going to require, what kind of work item you needed for your project, that you have to identify first before creating the project, because once you create the project you cannot change the process. And let me quickly go back to my demo project. So if I'll just show you the work item here, you can see here I'm getting multiple work items: bugs, epic, feature, issues, tasks, test cases, user stories. So different work items. So it's basically coming because of we have choosing a different processes for both the projects. Now let me quickly back to my slides. So I think epic is clear. Epic is a root level of element which basically group all the subtasks or all the work which we are going to perform as part of this particular time duration. Second is a feature. Feature breakdown epic into smaller deliverable components. Each feature represents a significant pieces of functionality within the epic. So once the top level is epic, we have created a one epic. Then second, features like epic authentication system. Now there are multiple tasks which we have to do to create a authentication system. For that we will create different features, like we have to create login page. This is the one feature. Logout page, second feature. Like that you have to create a multiple features. Use cases. A feature might represent a specific functionality within the epic, such as login page or password recovery. So these are the features of authentication system. And scope, mid-level, typically completed within a few sprints. But if you see the sprint, we will come to the sprint part later. Just for that understanding, sprint is like a time-bound box where you will assign all your tasks, which has to be completed within the time limit. If not, obviously you can move for the next sprint as well, but it's a time bounded box where we are creating all the tasks. So again, epic will take months, feature will take weeks. Now come to user stories. User stories are used to capture a specific functionality or requirement from the perspective of end user. They represent the actual user need and how a feature should work. So after like login page is a feature which we are going to implement. Now under login page there will be like n number of requirements which we have to fulfill. So for n number of requirement we will create a user stories. So one user stories will assign to one person, second user story will assign to second person. So like that multiple users will work on multiple user stories, and it will then once all the user stories will be completed, then the one feature will be completed. So all the work we will track with the help of Azure boards. Now we will see the use case. User story might be something like, as a user I want to reset my password so that I can regain access to my account. User stories are generally small, focused, and can be completed within a sprint. So maybe a week or within a week the user stories can complete it. Now the next thing is task. The tasks are the smallest unit of work and are used to break down user stories into actionable steps. So we want to for example, there is a user stories called reset my account password. Now you have created user story. Now under user story we can create multiple tasks. One task is okay, reset this particular user password. Second task, reset the second user password. Third task, reset third user password, for example. So like that we create a multiple task under the user stories. Now fifth is bug. So bugs are the work item that represent defect or issues in the system that need to be fixed. They are typically discovered during testing or after deployment. Maybe we have deployed our code and now QA or testing team is performing some kind of test on that application and they found some bugs. Then they will log this particular bug to development team and they will work on that. So if you see the hierarchy of this epic top level element, like months of work we have created, then we have created a features. Basically we are break down the task which we have created in epic in the smaller task. Then again user stories, again we are break down the features into multiple user stories, and the task multiple single user stories can contain multiple tasks. and then the bugs can be associated with user stories or tasks representing issues that need to be resolved. So these are the major work items which we generally see any software development life cycle. So if I'll quickly switch back to my Azure DevOps. So you can see here we have bug, epic, feature, issues, task, test cases, user stories. So all these things comes under board. If I'll go to my boards here, for example, I have created some dummy work items here. Okay, I am in my demo project. Let me quickly go to my main project. If I'll go to boards here, so you can see these are the user stories. So we can simply drag and drop. Now it's in to-do stack. We will select doing and then done. And you can also create the new backlog from here as well, or you can simply click from the work item as well. Now the second service we have here is board. This is what called a Kanban board. So it is basically helpful to monitor all the process of all the task which is in which state we have which task, so we can have a visibility. So the Kanban board provide a visual representation of work in progress, helping teams manage and streamline their workflow. It deals for the teams that focus on continuous delivery or those looking to improve their process over time. So basically, this is the Kanban board. Here we can see all the process, like which item is assigned to which person and what is the current state of that work item. So everything we can monitor with the help of Kanban boards. Now the third we have service called a backlog. So here, let's go back to my slide. So backlog is a prioritized list of work that needs to be done. It helps team to manage their work by providing a clear view of all outstanding work items from high level epic to detailed tasks. So backlog basically is a, like, we have created a epic, now we have created a few work items, and under those work items we want to prioritize a few items. Okay, this particular task needs to be done as much as possible, as much early as possible. Then we can move that particular thing to the backlog, so it will be visible, and people will have the eye on a board, like, okay, this is the prioritized one and we have to do these things first. Now the sprint again a time box iteration where teams work on a set of prioritized items from the backlog. So we have created a backlog. Now from the backlog, for example, we have created a 4 work item. Now the 4 work item we have to select from the like, we have to define or add in the particular sprint which we are going to do. So generally a sprint we create for a 2 weeks. Like 2 week, it means 10 working days. So Azure Board support sprint planning, tracking, and helping team deliver work incrementally. So if I'll just quickly go back to my sprint here. So this is a sprint. So you can see here this particular sprint one I have created, and you can see that this is a time bounded 12 working day sprint I have created, for example 13th of August to 28th of August. Now under this particular sprint we have added these backlogs. If you can see the backlogs, I have added 2 backlogs. So now where once the sprint time, like before 28, we have to finish these 2 tasks. So this is the work of a sprint, and we can easily monitor, okay, on this particular sprint we have planned these work items or these backlogs and how much effort it took. So all these things basically we can take from this what is called sprint. Now we have queries. If you have 2 queries, like, okay, what all the user stories we have, for example, if I quickly click on create, and work item type, let me choose okay, value, I'll select it here from like epic. So if you have to query how many epics we have, we can simply select the fields and we can run the query. So you can see I have 2 epic, for epic id 4 and epic id 3. So this is the helpful query. If you have lots of work item and you have to filter it out, then you can use the query options. Now we have a delivery plans. Let me quickly leave it. So again, the delivery plan is like, suppose let me give some name, test plan 2, and you can provide a description. So our delivery plan shows your work, when work will be delivered across your teams. So like you have created a 1 month of delivery plan. So now you can monitor everything as part of this delivery plan. If I'll choose your backlog epic, so we have two epics, and let me quickly save it, create it. So now you can see here, we can see the dates here, the time basically. If I'll show you the date wise, so this is the sprint one, which is we want to deliver in this particular time duration, or this is the delivery plan which we have to deliver. So we can create a delivery plan, so like manager and or like upper management person can have a visibility on delivery plan of what is happening and what's the process. So everything we can see here. Now we have analytics view. This is something like Power BI. If we have to have fetch all the data. If I'll click on my view here, so you can see here this work item type. So basically this is something called for presentation purpose. If you have a lot of data and you have to filter it out by criteria or something, then you can utilize this analytical views option as well. Now let me quickly move to my repos. So now second service we have here is Azure Repos. So this is where you manage your source code with Git repositories. So in Azure basically we have two type of version control system. The one is Git and second is TFVC, which is called Team Foundation Version Control. So again both are used for to store your source code. So let me quickly compare both the features. So the version control type, so TFVC is a centralized version control system and Git is a distributed control system. It means centralized means it will be on a server, and Git means every developer can have a copy on your local system as well. So this is the basically main difference between TFVC and Git. Second, we have repository structure. This is the single repo per project, and in Git multiple repositories per project we can create. Branching model, server based with more traditional branching, and it's lightweight local branches that are easy to create and delete. So basically if I'll tell you, TFVC is like no longer people are using it. Most of the people or most of the organizations nowadays are using Git because it is easy to manage. Like if people are offline, again still they can work on the project. But in the case of TFVC, you have to be always connected to the server if you have to check in your code. So this is the main difference. I'm not going to going in a more detail on Azure Repos because I have already created a videos on Repos, which is Git. So if you want, you can check out in my check in my playlist, and you will find it very easily. So I'll just quickly give an overview of Repos here. So you can see I have a demo pipeline here. I have a repos branch main. So similarly, if you have to create a repo, you can simply go here, new repo, and provide a name, and you can click on save. So it will create a repositories, and you can also if you go to advanced security, you can provide different you can assign basically different kind of policies or permission on the repositories. Okay, what kind of future or what all the policies you have to apply, that you can do in the repos as well. So repos I'm not gonna explain in more details. Now let me quickly go to the pipeline. I'll go back to my slide. So Azure Pipeline automate the process of building, testing, and deploying your code. This is the heart of CI/CD process in Azure DevOps. You can define your build process using YAML file or the classic editor. Once your pipeline is configured, every code changes you push, trigger, and automatic process the build, test, and deploy your application. So what does it mean basically? Let's quickly understand. So in Azure Pipeline, we have two pipeline. One is called a build pipeline and second is called a release pipeline. So under build pipeline, generally what we do, we build our code, and we have two kinds of pipeline, build pipeline. One format is called a classic pipeline, which is a graphics user interface GUI based, and second is a YAML pipeline. So for on ML pipeline, I have created a already separate video. I'll just quickly show you the pipelines and how we create these pipeline. So if I'll go to my pipeline, so if you can see, this is the build pipeline and this is the release pipeline we have. So let me quickly create a new pipeline. Now you have, where is your code? If your code in Azure Repos, Git, or somewhere a third party Bitbucket Cloud, GitHub, or any other source control system, you can choose it here. Now if you want to use a classic editor, you have to select this particular option. Now here what you will get, again you have to choose a source of your source code. So for example, I'm choosing my Azure Repos Git, and repository I'm using demo pipeline. Continue. And here you can let me quickly click on empty job. So I don't have any jobs. So this is process called a classic pipeline. This is generally still people are using it, but I would suggest you use a ML pipeline. That is very easy. So here basically you defined your source code where it is, and you have to select your repos and branch, everything you can select here. And now you will specify multiple jobs here. This is the agent job 1 where your pipeline will run. Now next thing what you have to do, you have to select a task. Like if you have .NET application or Node.js application, you will select, if I'll go to build task, we have a lot of build task here. So you can simply click on, for example, .NET Core. Now here you have to provide all the values of it. So this is model called a classic model. And the second model which we have, I'll just quickly leave it. Second model we have a ML pipeline. So for that ML file is required. So again you can see here, these are the option to create a ML pipeline. You can use Azure Repos, Git, Bitbucket Cloud, GitHub, GitHub Enterprise Server. So these are the option for creating a ML pipeline. So if I'll select here, select the repositories. For example, I have chosen my e-ticket application. Now if you have a existing Azure ML pipeline file, you can select, otherwise you can go for starter pipeline and you can configure the pipeline based on your requirement. So that's how basically in ML pipeline you will have all your pipeline in a simple text or ML file, and it is easy to manage and easy to, if you have any issues, you can simply check the one configuration, one text file where you have defined all your pipeline as a code. So this is very helpful. So basically two pipeline models we have, one is ML and one is classic, but most of the people are using the ML pipeline nowadays. So I hope it's clear about the pipelines. Next we have here is called environments. So let's see what is this environment basically. So an environment represent a logical target where your pipeline deploys software. Typically environment names are dev, test, QA, stage and production. So let's understand, suppose you are building your software or your application, now you want to deploy your code. So starting onwards, we will not deploy our code in the live environment or prod environment. First, we will deploy our code in the dev environment, then test environment, then QA and multiple so on environments. Then we will finally go for the production environment. So similarly, with the help of environment, we will use these tags dev, test, and it will be easy to basically track okay, on dev environment we did these many builds, test we did these many builds. So it is easy to identify how many builds or how many deployments we did as part of the environment. So it's basically a group all the builds, all the deployments as part of these tags. If I'll quickly show you, so if you can see, if I'll click on create new environment, so I can simply name here dev environment. I will specify, suppose if you want to deploy on Kubernetes or virtual machine, you can choose these options. Otherwise you can simply click on none and you can add it. Now you can utilize these environment in your ML pipeline where you have to define the environment name. So you are segregating multiple stages with the help of environment, and you can have, for example, let me quickly close this, dev infra build. This is the one environment I have created. Now you can see, I can see all the runs which happen as part of this particular environment, and you can also provide some kind of approvals. Okay, this dev environment is completed, now somebody should approve for the next environment, then the build will be triggered. So those things we can define here as well. Now let's go to the library. So library basically is helpful to store all your variables values which we are going to use as part of your pipeline. If you have any certificate file or PEM file or any confidential file that you are going to store as library, and you can also here assign the permission which user can have what things as part of this library. So basically library is used for pipeline variables which you declare in your configuration file for your pipeline. So you can see I have multiple variable groups which I have used in my pipeline. If you have any secure files that you can also utilize here, and you can also integrate. Suppose if you have declared some variable in your pipeline, but you don't suppose that is very like for password. The password you don't want to store in a library, then what you can do, you can create a variable group and you can integrate that variable group with Azure Key Vault, which is more secure. So when your pipeline will run, you will fetch the password from the Azure Key Vault and it will run in your pipeline. So basically all the variables you will declare or store in a library. Then we have a task group. Let's quickly switch to my PPT. So a task group in Azure DevOps are a feature that allow you to encapsulate a sequence of tasks into the reusable group. This is particularly useful when you have a set of tasks that are used frequently across multiple pipelines. By creating a task group, you can mention consistency, reduce duplication, and make your pipeline easier to manage. Now let's understand, you have 4 pipelines, and in the all of the 4 pipeline you want to restore NuGet package. So what you do, in every pipeline you will define that particular task. So what you are doing, you are basically duplicating that task in all the pipeline. So instead of what you can do, you can create a task group, and under the task group you can define the task which you want to use in all the pipeline. Suppose 4 tasks we have to use in all the pipelines. So instead of adding the 4 tasks in each pipeline, you can simply add this particular task group in the pipeline. So all the tasks, which 4 tasks which is required to run your pipeline, that will come from the task group. So you will basically reduce the lengthiness of your pipeline, and also you will reduce the duplication which you are doing as part of your pipeline. So this is very helpful if you have repeated tasks which you have to do in or on each pipeline. Then you can utilize a feature called task group. Then we have a deployment groups. So deployment groups are particularly useful when you need to deploy application to set of a target server like web server, DB server as part of your release pipeline. So deployment group you cannot use as part of your build pipeline. Deployment group you have to use in your release pipeline. If I'll go to deployment group here, so you can see I have one deployment group. So here basically what we do, we will specify the end targets here. Like suppose I have to deploy my application 4 servers. So with the help of deployment group, I will not go one by one for all the servers. I will simply add all the servers under this deployment group, and once my release pipeline will be completed, my code will be deployed in all 4 the target servers or all 4 web servers. So this is the purpose of deployment group here. Now let's quickly go to the Azure DevOps test plan. So Azure test plan is a service within Azure DevOps that provide a comprehensive solution for manual and automated testing for application. It enables teams to define, manage, execute and track test cases and test sources, ensuring that software meets the required quality standard before it is released. So let's quickly understand with a very simple example. Suppose I'm creating a application and I want to run, okay, if my login page is working, if I'm logging out, it is redirecting to my home page or not. So all those things we define as part of the test plan. And once we deploy our test application, we will run our test cases against the application which we have deployed. So we will identify, okay, if this particular login is working, logout is working, redirection is working. So all these things we will achieve with Azure DevOps test plan. One thing you have to note it here, Azure DevOps test plan is not a free feature. You have to pay for that. So if I'll go back to my organization settings, let me go to my Azure DevOps organization settings. If I'll go to Bling here, you can see uh, basic plus test plan. So this is the trial period which I have used, the 30 days trial. After that I have to pay the amount to use this particular service. So this is not a free service if you have to use Azure test plans. So if I go to test plan here, so you can see here you can something like this test. Okay, I have 4 test point I have defined. I want to run against. If I'll select it, I will run for my web application. It will open one windows, and you will see what all the test cases are passed. This is the dummy test cases. I don't have any web application, just for the demonstration purpose I have created it. So you can see test 1 of 4. If I'll go second test, third test, fourth test, so these you will see, and you can also record this particular thing. If I'll click on your camera icon, you can see, okay, we have to install some kind of prerequisites. So what you can do, what does it mean basically? So when you are testing your web application, you can still record all the steps which you are performing. So it will be like kind of feedback you can provide a dev. Okay, I have done these things, this is not working, I have recorded, you can have a look. So this recording will be saved as part of work item, so and developers can have a look later. Now the next service we have here is Azure Artifact. So Azure DevOps Artifact is a package management service that is integrated into Azure DevOps. So what does it do basically? You can publish Azure DevOps Artifact here, and if you have some kind of third parties artifact like Nexus, you can integrate with Artifact. So what it does basically, suppose in my organization I have 4 projects, and there are few packages, NuGet packages for example, that is going to use in all 4 of the project. Then what we can do, we can publish that NuGet package in the Artifact, and with the help of Artifact all the 4 projects can consume that particular package. So that's the main purpose of Artifact here. Now let's see quickly the benefits of Azure DevOps services. Integration with other tools. As I've shown you from the organization settings, we have an option called extension. From there basically you can integrate any third-party tool which you want to do. So this is the one benefit. Second, CI/CD. By automating the build, test and deployment process, Azure DevOps helps you deliver software faster and with few errors. Enhance collaboration. So with the help of Azure Boards, we are going to create all the work item which is required to complete our application or software development. So multiple people can work on a same work item or different work items. So and everybody have a visibility who is working on what feature or what task. Security and compliance. So Azure DevOps provide robust security features, like you can basically provide role-based access control from the organization settings. You can also integrate with Azure Active Directory, which is now become a Entra ID. You can also become, if you have on-premise Azure Active Directory, you can integrate with that also. So whatever the user will be part of your ID, they can only access the Azure DevOps services. So these are the benefits of Azure DevOps. So I hope the overview of Azure DevOps, what is Azure DevOps services, it is clear now. If in case if you have any issues, ping me on a comment. I'll try to respond as soon as possible. So that's all for today. See you in next video. Thank you so much.